Perfect. Good morning and happy Monday.
Good morning,
I'm
everyone.
Katie Weldon.
And I'm Alicia Warner.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We are talking about one of my favorite topics. This is something I talk a lot with my coaching clients and my mortgage clients about. They might not realize it, my mortgage clients, but I'm always thinking about how I speak with them to make sure that they're feeling really comfortable. And I love this material. This is so helpful, especially if you're a newer agent or even a seasoned agent who might not realize how you're talking to clients. This can be really helpful.
It is just a few tips and things to be aware of when you're speaking with people makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And it's really just these little swaps. So we wanted to go over a few of our favorite swaps and how they could help your client not only have a better experience, but also be more likely to work with you, especially in an interview situation or if they're shopping around for multiple lenders or multiple insurance carriers. Shifting a little bit about how you talk to those clients could be the difference between earning their business or not. So let's get started. What do you say?
All right. Sounds great to me.
Awesome. Great. So my number one, like no matter what I focus on is how we can partner with the client. Because when you're coming from a standpoint of how you can partner with them and help them, that's going to come through in your words without you even realizing it.
Correct. So what happens is that when an agent is talking to potential clients, maybe for a listing, they're on that listing appointment and they're up against other agents, how they present that this is a partnership, that they work together and they help the client will make all the difference in the world rather than I and you and me. It should be we.
Yeah. And it's these little things, right? It's shifting when you're talking with them and shifting your whole perception of that partnership as well. So it's not only just the words you're using, but it's the feeling behind what you're doing. Because I can tell you that if I'm interviewing realtors, for example, because we're a real estate mastermind here, I'm thinking about how they can help me. Like that's what I want. I want them to help me. I want them to help me sell my house for top dollar. I want them to make it as easy for me as possible. I want them to put my property in the best light. I want it, to be as little amount of headache. And so if one person is focusing on like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, that's great. But for me, there's an energy missing behind it on like us really working together to get this sold. And yes, I want them to have most of the responsibility, but I also want to feel comfortable and confident that that house is going to sell for top dollar, like I said, right?
Or I'm going to check in with you and we're going to meet after the first, listing appointment so that I can give you feedback. It's a partnership in that realm of, this is what we're going to do to help you to market. But after we're going to review things, I'm going to talk to you about the offers that you receive. All that information is
Yeah,
important.
exactly. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to meet regularly. And obviously there's always going to be that client who wants nothing to do with anything. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't understand what you've learned over years. There may be a client who doesn't want anything to do with you selling the house. They just want you to do it. They want you to move on. But that is few and far between, especially what we're seeing with different generations. This younger generation is all about collaboration and partnership. And I also ask myself this question. I say, okay, well, what's good for me? What's good for you? What's good for us as a collective? So, for example, if I'm taking on a new loan, well, it's good for me because I will get money on that loan. That's fantastic. It's good for you because I know that you are in the best hands possible. And it's good for everyone because I know that the realtors are going to be in good hands. I know that the attorney is going to have a smooth process with us. So, when I'm working with a client or trying to earn their business, I'm always thinking of what's good for me, what's good for you, what's good for us as a collective, and how do we get this done for you and make you feel comfortable along the way. So that's just kind of the energy behind all of these little swaps that we're going to share with you. And I'll let Alicia share the next one. Oh, sorry, went too far. Okay.
And I kind of spoke about it a little bit a minute ago, and it's replacing I with us or we. And it's really important to do that. you don't want to be so self-centered on any end of the process, because it isn't just about me getting a commission for bringing in a loan. It's about the partnership that I have with the agent, with the realtor, with the clients. And so replacing it with a collaborative includes everyone as a part of it and makes everyone really just feel so much more engaged in the process, and they feel like they can ask questions. They feel like they can be a part of it. They get feedback. It's just more productive for everyone.
Absolutely. And just to kind of add to that, there's also a neuroscience component, right? So if I'm using the words we because we're working together, if you haven't chosen to work with me yet, there's also some subtle kind of subconscious stuff going on there, because I'm making you feel comfortable with using that phrase together, because we are a team and we're working together, and I want you to choose to work with me going forward.
Right.
So there's some neuroscience to these little swaps, as I'll say. And if anyone has anything to add or anything in the chat, feel free to ask any questions along the way. If there's something you're wondering about related to words, like, we're here for it. But there's more than one component. So there's the neuroscience, there's the energy behind what you're saying, and also just the specific words. So next is replacing if with when. So this, to me, is my number one thing, and here's why. Right now, especially up north, it's more of a competitive market with limited inventory, right? And so we have these clients come to us, and when I'm speaking with them, if I'm saying something like, if you find a house, if you do this, like, if you do that,
If your offer is accepted,
if your offer is accepted, like, if this ever actually happens for you, I'll be shocked. It's like, they're not obviously saying that, but people don't realize that's not giving them the confidence that this is going to come to fruition. And so for me, I say things like, when you and your agent are viewing houses, and when you find the right house, and when your offer is accepted, and when we move forward from there, that's when we take over again. So I'm making sure they know that this is a possibility. This is a probability. Actually, you would not be working with us if you weren't intentional on finding a home and getting pre-approved. So I don't know why there's so many people out there who are like, hey, it's going to take a lot of time. And if you find something and we actually get our offer accepted, if they actually accept this offer, it's like, no, stop doing that. I just want to shake people so hard. I'm like, no.
And that's where the positivity comes in, because with if, it's not positive, it's cautionary. If it gets done, if it gets where when, well, this is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. When the timing is right, when, not if the timing's right, no, when, because it's going to happen. If you've made a determination that you as a client want to buy a house, then you're going to do it. And you don't want somebody saying, if you do it. No, when I do it. It's a big difference in the way we speak to our clients and the agents, and the way the agents speak to it makes a much more positive experience than, well, if your offer is accepted. No, it's going to be accepted. It might not be on this house, but you will have an offer accepted because you want to purchase a home, and that's your goal, and it's fulfilling your goal. Not if your goal is there. No, I'm going to attain my goal.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. And like I said, to me, this is the most important thing, because if we're not giving our clients kind of the picture of what we want to happen, which is them finding a home. I had thought my phone was on silent. I don't know what's happening. It shouldn't be making noise. When
we're the experts. Yeah. We're the experts, and we're helping them.
It matters big time. And the other thing is, I see this a lot too when people are buying and selling, and they'll say something like, oh, well, if they accept your offer because we have this contingency, and then if you sell your house, it's like, it's almost like people aren't even planning that for that to happen, which is so crazy. Because, like, why are we all spinning our wheels working if we're not thinking that the outcome is going to be the when, right?
Right. Exactly. It's like, going in and saying, well, maybe I'll buy a house today. No, if is kind of like maybe, and it's not, it's when. This is your goal. We're here to help you achieve your goal.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to talk about this one or you want me to?
Katie came to me a long time ago about this because I am the epitome of used to say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it's not, you really do need to structure it with thank you for your patience or thank you for helping me. Go ahead, Katie, you can explain it a little bit more why you
Yeah, so
explained it to me.
so what I normally would put on this slide is replace sorry with thank you, but that's kind of weird, right? So you're kind of thanking them for whatever it is. So I'm going to give you a few examples here. When I used to be running late, because I was notoriously 5 minutes late, that was kind of like my MO, and that's okay. That's something I've been working on. I would get there and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And people are like, oh, don't worry about it. But there's an energy behind that. And imagine if I walked in and said, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your patience. I took a call on my way out and put me a few minutes behind. It's like, oh my God, no problem. There is an entirely different energy behind that. And this happens more than I care to admit, but let's just say I miss an email, right? I overlooked it. I get hundreds of emails a day, and someone's like, hey, I'm just checking back. I hadn't heard back from you. I used to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I missed your email. And now I just say, oh, thank you so much for your patience. I overlooked it the first time. I appreciate you checking back in.
Or thank you so much for reaching out. You know, I
Yes.
missed it. I missed it, but
And you don't have to say you miss it. You can just say, thank you so much for checking back in and answer the question.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I've thought about this a lot, and I'm not saying you shouldn't say sorry when you're sorry. That's okay. Most of the time when you say sorry, it's about something that we really aren't super sorry about. We're saying sorry because we feel bad in some way. And I can't think of other examples right now, but anytime I go to say the word sorry, I think to myself, could this be said with a thank you?
right. And it turns the conversation from being conciliatory to being more appreciative.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is one that's really simple and easy to replace. And I think all of you can probably
It's a
do that.
habit. It's a habit. It takes some
Oh,
time.
it's a habit.
It takes some
say
time.
sorry.
Definitely
I'm like,
takes some
sorry,
time.
sorry. And then I'll go, and thank you for your patience. I'll try to turn it around when I catch myself. Okay, replace try with do my best. So this is one that I also see very often. And, I can tell you there's things I've tried in my life, but when I'm using the word try, it's usually something that didn't work out. Well, I tried to lose weight, or I tried to get my clients under agreement. I tried to get to the store today. I tried to finish my report. I tried. Or I will try. And one thing I urge you to do is replace it with do my best. So for example, let's say a client wants to see a property today at a certain time, right? It's 10:15 right now. They want to see it at 12. It's short notice. The house is lived in. Normally you're like, okay, I'll try to make it happen. What would it feel like if you said, I'm going to do my best to make it happen? If for some reason they're not available at that time, do you have any alternatives? If you're like, I'm going to try, I'm not saying that doesn't mean you're not actually trying or doing it.
But it kind of feels that way a little bit. It really
It's a
does.
little
It feels like, well, it's really short notice, but I'll try to get you in there rather than, you know what, I'm going to call the other agent, and I'm going to do my best to see what I can do for you. What a difference that attitude makes towards your clients.
Huge.
Because
I use this example. This is an awful example, but I use a little kid's birthday party because no one really wants to go to those. I enjoy them, but how many times are you like, I'm going to try and stop by?
yeah.
And if someone tells you that for your party, you're like, okay,
they're not coming. They're not coming.
I'll see you next week then. No problem. Right. But what would it be if you said, I'm going to do my best to stop by and say hello?
Right. Yeah. I have something else going
on the receiving end. It feels so different. It's so much like lighter, and energetically, it just feels so much nicer that someone's going to do their best to make my kid's birthday party.
Right. And you know what? Doing my best kind of means, rather than from, well, I'm going to try to be there, which in my mind means there's a 25% chance of them coming, to I'll do my best, kind of gives you at least 50. It makes you more optimistic. And I think when we're speaking with real estate agents and I'll do my best really conveys to clients that you're on their side and that you're working with them and for them. And I think that's a big difference.
Absolutely. And just to go back to kind of that example of going to a birthday party, right? Don't say you're going to try if you're not going to do your best. If you really just don't want to go, then say, hey, I'm not going to make it. Or if you're not going to try something, so use this with things that you're actually going to do, because there's also an energy behind authenticity and honesty. But we say that I used to say the word try all the time. I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try. And I still do. Don't get me wrong, but I just think about it differently. I start to think, okay, am I doing my best with this or am I just trying? Because trying and doing my best are not the same thing.
Going back before we go on,
Oh, yeah.
Kelly noted also earlier that we use sorry as a space filler a lot. And that
Ooh.
really is very, very true that, you know, when you're standing there and you just arrived somewhere, sorry is the first thing that comes out of your mouth. Sorry, I'm late. Sorry, this, sorry, and that. And it really is a space filler. And if you can change it to, you know, thank you, it changes the whole context of the conversation.
Yes, very, very true. So I'm going to take this next one. This
Yes.
is something I started doing recently, but what I found out,
But
what I found out, right? Wasn't that a great example? Is that when we use the word but, it actually negates what you previously said. So I'm going to give you a personal example. I love you, but you're driving me crazy. What happens in our brains is that word but like kind of deletes the previous sentence.
Right.
And so now the other person heard is you're driving me crazy.
And in the real estate realm, when they're looking at a house, you and I were discussing this the other day with clients that we were talking about it. What happens is, I like this house, but it needs a lot of improvements. Well, how about changing it to, I like this house, and with a few improvements, it could be everything I want. So you're changing that connotation, like Katie was saying, from negating what was said before, because with the but, it needs improvements. You're not thinking, you're not remembering that I like this house.
Yeah. Especially if you're an agent walking around and you say, this hits all your options, but it needs a lot of work. It's a different feeling than this. I don't know how to turn my phone off. I swear it did. I have a new phone.
And with a few improvements, this could be everything that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
You know? Okay.
I'm 100% more likely to buy the house with what you said second. Now, I'm not doing this to convince people to buy a house that doesn't fit their needs. What I'm doing is making sure they see the possibilities, right? It's not my decision to make as their agent, but it is my duty to put my best foot forward to try and help them see the possibilities in homes. Because we know that notoriously, especially the younger generation, wants everything totally done. And when you can have a little vision, it can help them out. So the word and I have switched in my personal and professional life a little bit, especially to have the tougher conversations, right? You know, I know you've been working really hard, but I need this document. I know you've been working really hard, and this document's very time sensitive. Is there any way you can get it over to me today?
And it does change that, the mentality of how people are receiving what you're asking for. You know, just like, you know, we would like to help you to qualify for a house, but you haven't completed the application yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Or, you know, I have your documents, and when you complete the application, I'll be able to see the full picture and give you all of your options.
Yes.
So it's not minimalizing what they've done. It's just asking for what you need in a nicer way that makes 100%. Them feel empowered to give it to you rather than negative.
Yeah, it's also an easier way to, in my opinion, approach situations that are on the tougher side. For example, a client maybe who is under offering on all the new properties that are available, and they just want it for a deal of 30,000 off, and it's been listed for 2 days, right?
Multiple offers.
Yeah. So having a tough conversation, I know that you want a good deal. And I'm gonna work as hard as I can to get that for you. Like, it's just, it allows you to kind of segue into a conversation,
And I'm
you
going
know?
to do my best rather than I'm going to
Right.
try.
Yeah. And well, my favorite thing is we used to maybe say, okay, but you got to start offering more, right? And in order to be considered on a home that is new to the market, we need to be more competitive with what we're offering. That conversation, it's not as, all of these things, in my
Right,
opinion, they're
right,
less combative.
right.
They're more collaborative. They're more welcoming, to create more conversations on how you can work together to figure it out. Most of the clients who complain about their agents or being unhappy about their agents, it's communication issues.
Mhm.
They
Right.
feel like maybe they have a positive attitude and they feel like their realtor doesn't. That's kind of an energetic mismatch and they feel it. If I'm motivated about a house and I have an agent who's showing me homes and is saying like how long it's going to take me and how I'm never going to find something, it's like, oh
If you get
man,
a house, I'll try my
yeah,
best to help you. But all
right,
these words that we've just spoken about make a huge difference in how you portray yourself as a professional and how it's conveyed to your client.
100%.
And it's how they feel. And really, a lot of this is feelings and how that builds trust. And if they feel that you're doing your best to help them and you're evaluating a place and not saying, this house, but it's terrible, but this, but the neighborhood, but you know, I think if you do this, they have a much better feeling working with you.
Yeah, agreed. And they might not even realize why. They're not going to say, "Oh, my agent was really great when she talked to me." They're just going to say, "My real estate agent made me feel comfortable with everything that was happening as I was purchasing a new home, and I always felt like we had hope." And those little things are all important, right? Those little itty bits
Abs-
along the way.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference in the warm feeling that of the partnership that we try to portray, which we do capture because we do care about actually what we're feeling, what we're portraying, and what we're saying with people.
Exactly. And if you don't care, then you're in the wrong business. I really care about my clients. It is a collaborative partnership. That's how I view them. That's one of those subtle things that has made me really successful without
And
really
it's
understanding what it
and
was.
it's not just a paycheck. It's
Yeah,
seeing people in homes happy, talking to them 6 months, a year later, and answering questions that they have for a lifetime because they trusted you then and they still trust you going forward.
absolutely. Alicia, have you tried using this phrase any places? I know we talked about it briefly when we were getting ready for this.
No, no, that one hasn't come up. So I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more on your thoughts
Yeah,
on
so
that
this
one.
one is so fun. I actually saw it on a podcast a few months ago and I've been trying it all different ways. So he uses it specifically to get upgrades on airlines or hotels, things like that. But is there any chance? So I'll give you an example. We were at a little event that was local to us. It was called Pigs in the Street. It was like food trucks for barbecue. It was hosted by the chamber. It was at a local college. And my daughters were getting a lemonade, but I knew they weren't going to each have a whole lemonade. And so I just said, is there any chance you could put one lemonade in 2 cups for my daughters? And they said, yeah, no problem. Now they might, if I just asked regularly, if I just said, hey, could you put it in 2 cups? They might have said yes, but the energy behind it's not as good. But saying, is there any chance? And
It
this is
sounds more
something,
appreciative. It really
yeah,
sounds more
100%.
appreciative.
And
Yeah.
so as an agent, right, there's a couple ways you could do this. I have a lot of agents reach out to me on the weekend, and I'm totally fine with that. However, and it would feel a little bit nicer if instead of saying, I need this borrower pre-approved,
This
they
minute.
would say, is there any chance you're able to get this done for me today? When asking for something that's, I'm not saying we don't typically turn around a pre-approval the same day. We typically do. That's how we do business. And I think there's also some other lenders who maybe don't do that. And so what would it look like if you said to them, knowing that their schedule wasn't as reachable as ours, is there any chance you could get me this pre-approval today?
To a
Because
bank
I
who
can
only
tell you,
works
if they
Monday to
say
Friday.
no to that, you can't see my hand. You can call us. We're ready for you.
Yes.
And there's a different energy behind it. And there's a lot of clients who want to see properties last minute. So is there any chance you can show us, or I could see this property with my clients at 12?
Right. And after you've said to your clients, I'll do my best
Yes, I'll do my best to get you into this
to get you
property.
in this place. And then you're going to call and you're going to say, not, I know it's short notice, but we want to see it. Is there
Yeah.
any chance?
Yeah, exactly.
I have clients and they're really qualified.
Right. This would be a great one. Ready? I have clients and they are really qualified. Is there any chance we could get into this house today at 12?
I told them I would do my best.
Yes, we just used presentation's over. We just used all, right?
But the feeling that happens in the phone call, rather than, I want to see this house at 1 o'clock today, and my clients are demanding that they want to see it. Well, who are you and why do I care? There's a big difference.
Yep. When I was renting in Wesley Chapel, Florida, our landlord was selling the home, and her agent, we did not get along. We actually, at the end, were not allowed to talk to each other, which is really comical to me. And she texted me and said, I need to show this house at 1 o'clock today. Like, I need you to accommodate this kind of thing. And I'm thinking, bullshit, I don't have to accommodate anything. And I am definitely but I thought about it and I was like, I don't want to do this to my landlord. She wants to sell this house. These people were in town, just the way it was approached just made me feel like I don't actually want to do this for you. And if I didn't have a conscience, I wouldn't have showed it to her. I had a recorded meeting, like a podcast that I was part of that day. And so it was a real inconvenience for me to show it at that time that they wanted.
Right.
And if
right.
they just said, is there any chance you can show this today? They're only in town, for today. This is the only time they can do. They're squeezing this in. Their agent convinced them to see it. And guess what? They ended up buying that house. So my landlord sold that house because of it. And she almost didn't, because her realtor really approached it in the wrong way, in my opinion.
Right. And the other thing is that then to come to you when you're the agent and someone's living at home and they've allowed you to come in at that time to, sorry for the inconvenience of us looking at the house right now. No, thank you so much for allowing us to come in.
Yes.
And there's a huge difference and the perception of it. Sorry, we inconvenienced you. It reminded me that this really did this inconvenience, or thank you for letting us, allowing us to come in. We know that it may have been an inconvenience, but we really appreciate it. Huge difference. Huge. And you know what? Maybe your buyer isn't the best buyer. Maybe their offer isn't the best offer. But you know what? If you've presented yourself that way and you've presented your buyers that way and are thankful and appreciative, then maybe your offer that's $5,000 under asking gets accepted over somebody else who is a jerk, because they're thinking, if this person is a jerk now, what are they going to be like through the whole process? Versus, I really like them. They're nice people.
Yeah, we get that all the time. By the way, we get so many agents who accept our offers, even when they are not the highest price. It is not, that is one factor that is obviously a consideration. It is not the end all be all, and how you approach things with the other agents. And I urge you to take all of these little pieces or these little tidbits and use them in your everyday life too, because it makes it a lot easier when you're talking to your kids. Imagine if I said, is there any chance you could make your bed this morning? Well, now
and we can do something fun after you do it.
Yes, I love it. That's amazing. I know we're coming up on 10:30.
Yes.
So I just want to cap this off with a little bit of a bow. I always end every conversation. We look forward, not every conversation, but when I'm in kind of a sales cycle, we look forward to working with you, right? If someone's like, hey, my friend told me to reach out to get a mortgage, blah, 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 blah. Like I love kind of the assumption close, and I assume that they're going to be my client, because why wouldn't they? I'm an amazing option for them. Why wouldn't they want to choose to work with me?
Right. Not if you choose to work with me, not,
Right. When they look when they work with me, they're gonna look forward to it. So I'm like, great, we look forward to working with you. You
And
know,
not, I'm here for you. No, me, you know,
yeah,
it's a group collaborative partnership.
it all is. And I use the word we all the time. I used it before I even had a team. It really does show everyone that we're all in this together.
Mhm. Right.
I want to be cognizant of everyone's time, but thank you so, and
Yes.
I want to be cognizant of everyone's time, and thank you so much for joining me. See, I still trip up all the time.
We appreciate being able to share our thoughts with you.
Yes, thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
Bye.